Coach, a limited designation on Christian today. Hope for Sunday. I
think he'll probably come right until Sunday. I think it'll be like a game time decision. He's still limited, so I couldn't go one way or the other right now.
How did Joey's issue popped up?
They walked up and told me he just tweaked something in his back, so we'll have to wait and see how that goes.
Practice or?
Walking to practice or in practice, I'm honestly not sure. I mean, I probably during practice, but I couldn't even tell you how he did it.
Based on what you saw today, Matt, are you still kind of optimistic about Christian?
I honestly probably 50-50 on Christian. I think it's going to come down to how he feels. So I'll just have to wait and see how he responds to today and go from there. But I couldn't go either way right now.
How was Chauvin since he got that injury back earlier in the year? Do you feel like he could be someone that could be worked in your next few weeks or so?
Shai Smith, you say?
Yeah,
Shai's practicing well. Just for us trying to get a sixth wideout up. Obviously Alex handles the punt returns and kick returns, and Zylstra does a nice job for us on special teams and at wideout. So when Shai's time comes, he'll be ready to play. It could be this week. Shai's healthy. Yeah.
Go back to your this week at all?
I'm hopeful that we will.
Plan to go back to your rotational offensive line, which this had a few weeks ago with Eflin back and also left tackle Irving back too.
As long as they come out of today's practice feeling good. We had a lot of guys come out of the game banged up, so we practiced a lot of guys today. So if Elfline's healthy and practicing well, then we'll go with either him or Daly. And if Irving's if his neck responds to the from the injury, then he'll play as well.
Matt, just to be clear on Christian, did you have any type of setback or just the same? Or?
No, I just think at the end of the day, it's one of those deals. I think he probably still feels a little bit, and so we're just trying to see if he feels like he can cut loose or not. So just plan was come out today. He's limited today, and really see what he can do tomorrow. And if he can go, great. If not, I think Chuba's doing a nice job right now.
I know it's a different injury than what he had last year, but if there's some trepidation based off the way you handled him last year that may cause some more caution with him this year.
Based on the way I handled him last year in terms of
him coming back, maybe you brought him back too early, or is there any?
I don't think we brought him back too early. We didn't bring him back at the end of the year, so I think Christian, we've taken everything like every player. We're never going to rush anyone back. When the doctors clear them and the player feels like they can play, we'll go with them, So even when they come back, some of these guys, the sports science guys, Kent Johnson, they set, limits on them of how many plays they can play for us. So, I don't think one thing relates to another. Christian had a shoulder, then he had obviously, then he had the foot, then he had a shoulder, then a quad. So it wasn't like it's any one thing, and now it's a hamstring. So I think he'll be, we'll just wait till he's ready. Whenever he's ready, we'll put him out there and go.
I just want to make sure I heard you correctly. You said if Elfline has a good week of practice and Selkie, it would be him and Daly. Is that what you said?
No.
Okay.
Him or Daly. Yeah. Elfline was the left guard till Daly took over for him. So we have both of those guys available. Whoever we think's the best fit, based on practice, we'll go with.
Matt, is your belief still that you guys are better off with Taylor on the right side, all things else being equal?
Yeah, we'll put Taylor on the right side. Yeah, I think just he's one of the premier right tackles. He certainly can play left tackle, but I think especially they have two great edge rushers. They have several great edge rushers, but Daniil Hunter and those guys. So we'll keep a strength to strength, and we did what we had to do to get through that game, and but we'll keep them on the right.
Matt, you said, I think Monday, that this would be a particularly important week of practice for you guys this year because of what happened the last 2 weeks. How have you kind of seen the team respond, at least today?
I thought today was our best practice we've had, probably since I've been here. I think the defense realized that they played a great football game for, I think we had 14 drives for 12 drives, and then the last 2 drives we didn't do what we wanted to do. And when you have a defense that doesn't point fingers, that instead says we could have done more. When I have a defensive coordinator who, Phil Snow very simply says, if the other team has more points than us, we didn't play great defense. And that's a pretty simple way of looking at it. And so the defense came out with a lot of energy today. Offensive guys had an edge to them. So I thought it was a good practice. And hopefully, sometimes when you practice at a high level, it takes a week or two for it to really kick in. And we've been practicing well, but this was the best. So, I'm hopeful that we'll see some dividends, and hopefully we can do it again tomorrow.
Matt, you said on Monday, I think you had not talked to Robbie. Have you guys talked since? And kind of what's the mood of that there?
There's nothing to it to me to begin with. I told everybody what I thought. I said guys have emotion as long as they don't cross a line. It's a game of emotion. I think probably 30 years ago, 40 years ago, before there was cameras everywhere, people got emotional on the sidelines during games. And just like I said, we all have to play better. Instead of worrying about what we're doing, I want everyone to worry about how they're doing what they're doing. And so me and Robbie have a great relationship, just like everybody else. And not much to it, that beyond me. I really didn't think about it again after we had the conversation.
I was wondering how delicate the balance is from trying to get a guy that you want to get involved and not forcing him to.
Yeah, I'm not going to force anything. I think I agree with that. To me, it's all about the team. You're never going to force anything. That being said, I think you want balance. Like all the balls can't go to one guy, or else the other team takes it away. So I want balance, and sometimes you have to you lose balance. We haven't really had great balance in that regard. So just want to regain some balance on offense and make sure Tremble's involved and Marshall's involved and Robbie's involved. But I don't do that for anyone's feelings. And I don't think the players aren't. We don't have guys with egos. They want to help the team win. That's all it is. And when you're losing and you feel like, hey, I'm not having a chance to help the team win, that rises up. So, I just want to make sure I'm purely focused on the football of it. Because I know people's emotions are in the right place. And, I think you guys, over the last couple of weeks, if you went back and looked at my answers when you guys have asked me about it, I've been like, we do need to get the ball spread around more. I don't want the ball just going to DJ because we become one-dimensional. I don't want the ball just going to Christian. We become one-dimensional. So, maybe a little bit of that caught up to us this past week. And so we have to be much better. And we have a system. We just want to run the system. I want Sam to drop back and not just look for one guy because he has a good comfort with him. I want us to be a system. And so that's been my whole focus, just making sure the football is as good as it can be.
Rodney Smith anymore. If Christian can't go Sunday, is the plan just to carry just the two, or?
We'll either elevate somebody or, be creative in another way.
Go ahead.
You said that today was one of the best practices since you've been here. Do you find it's easier to coach guys after a loss, or what's your philosophy on that?
I hope. I shouldn't. I'm not perfect. I hope I coach the same. I'm a really big believer in. When you win, there's good things and bad things. When you lose, there's good things and bad things. But, I think a couple weeks ago you asked me, hey, everyone's giving you a lot of attention. And I'm like, oh, I wish they would stop. But, or I think you said people were kind of saying, hey, we're not as good as our record says. And I was like, please bring it on. To me, when you have an edge, usually you're a lot better. And, to not have played our best game this past Sunday, you hope that you have an edge and that you come out to practice. In the same regard, I was talking to Shaq today on the field, and he's not back yet, and this is in the walkthrough, and he was talking about last year and how hard we practiced, even though we were losing, and I said to him, well, did it pay off for you? He's like, he's playing the best football of his career right now. So when guys also believe that practice helps them play well, there's nothing we can do right now. We can't talk. We don't need a lot of meetings, a lot of speeches. We just need to practice and prepare and then go play our best games. So I think those two things combined, guys having a little bit of an edge because we've lost. And then I think also, we know how good Minnesota is. They're a team that beat us last year in an absolutely heartbreaking loss. And then you turn on the tape and you see Jefferson and Thielen and, Dalvin Cook and, Hunter and Griffin and Harrison Smith. There's some really great players over there and a great system, and Coach Zimmer does a great job. So I think our guys know what a battle this is going to be this week.
You guys get Elflein and Cam Irving back today. Those guys were two guys you signed on the first day of free agency. What did you see in them, you and Scott, at the time that maybe others around the league did not? Whatever you think of the metrics, they weren't real highly rated, PFF and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I don't pay attention to PFF. It's not saying it's not right. I can't operate in that world. Cam's a former first-round draft pick with a ton of talent, and just he's had some injury history. Hasn't ever really, I think our philosophy sort of in free agency is a lot of times is to fill big holes so that in the draft you don't have to force things. And we know you're going to need a lot of players, right? So just like at corner, we have a bunch of guys. Well, CJ's limited today and JC's out. So I just think when we have a chance to go get players that we think have a chance to help us, Elflein's a guy that can play guard but also can step in and play center. So to me, there's value there in that he can play 3 positions: right guard, left guard, and center. So I think when you're looking at veteran offensive linemen, you're looking at guys who can swing and play both sides. And if they start for you, they start for you. And if they're backups for you, you have quality backups. And so that's really kind of the thought process. I think sometimes when we look at it from the outside, we're looking at everything, but really not in terms of roles, but in terms of, like for me, I can't have, 53 starters. It's just not, So it's, hey, what role can this guy fill? Can this guy be a starter? Can this guy be a backup? Can he be a 3-position backup? And so, and then you get here, and then we compete it out and see how well guys can play. So we've obviously made a decision the last 2 years to draft heavily, defensively. I think if you look at the guys we drafted this year offensively, between Chuba and Tommy and Marshall, those guys are starting to come through. I think offensive linemen take a little longer, so we'll have to wait and see what Brady is. I think for his first game, I think Brady, availed himself well. There's a long way for him to go, but I think he's got a chance to be a really good player. Deontay's still kind of, as I said before, kind of growing into being a little bit slimmer. But, with Cam, I think we saw a guy with traits, length, can play multiple positions. With Elfline, we saw a guy who's really tough and smart and athletic who could play 3 positions, and went and got those guys that we thought were, good contracts for us.
I guess Delvin Cook was back in practice today. What problems does he present for you guys, and what else jumps out at you about the Vikings?
Well, Dalvin Cook's one of the best players in the National Football League. He's a dominant running back, and they have a great scheme. We played against him last year, and he got banged up in the game. It looked like it was going to be scary, and then he came back later and played. I mean, he's so tough. They're a wide zone team that's diversified a little bit and doing a little bit more. He can get downhill. He can get to the sideline. He catch the ball in the backfield, highly competitive. Justin Jefferson's an explosive big play threat. Kirk Cousins is playing really well. They've got a big, powerful offensive line. They drafted the left tackle in the first round who started his first game or played his first game this past week. And then they've got a really good defense. Coach Zimmer's always had, our guys, when they're talking about different defenses in the league, the guys that on my staff have been in the NFL for a long time, they'll be like, oh, that's a Zimmer defense. So, he has his defense named after him, so obviously they know how to play it well. So they're just a really well put together team. They've been in a bunch of close ball games. They didn't flinch this past week. They came back and won the game. It was really impressive.
He play a lot of snaps on Sunday. How do you feel like he graded out, and just what does it mean to give another guy who's a rookie that kind of chance to shine on that level?
Keith Taylor? Yeah. I thought Keith played really well. I think Keith is very confident. He's got such length that he plays even faster than he is. He's a competitive kid, tough kid, and it's a pretty cool room right now. You walk in there, you got AJ Boye, you've got Rashawn Melvin, you got Stephon Gilmore, you got 3 veteran players. You have Dante, who's becoming a veteran, who's a really elite player right now, and then you've got a couple young guys, and so there's a lot of knowledge being thrown around and passed around, and I think Keith put him out there. I don't even think twice. I got a lot of confidence in him.
This is a long way from Panthers in Minnesota, but just as a head coach in this league and a thoughtful guy, I just wondered sort of what you thought about the John Gruden emails and that story sort of exploding over the last couple of days.
Bruce kind of asked me, said, hey, I really thought a lot about it, in terms of how I would say it. I'm not very good at speaking on other people. I just very cognizant always of kind of, because I don't know backstories and histories. I do know that, as a leader, I want to, and pride myself in trying to be thoughtful and inclusive, and anything I say, I wouldn't want to be exclusive. And so, you hear me say sometimes that, good people, good leaders, good players, and they leave a place better than they found it. I think the best thing that we can all do is love people and take them for what they are. And, I think Teddy said it last year one time when he was speaking. He said, so often in life we spend so much time talking about what people aren't instead of looking at what they do well. And so, I know for me, I just want to make sure that I raise my kids and I set an example around here of not being hateful, not being discriminatory, So I can't speak on anyone else. I don't pretend to know what's in people's hearts. I don't pretend to know what people said or didn't say, but I know for me, in this job, I want to represent every person, that roots for the Carolina Panthers, and I want to be, inclusive, and I want to, at the end of the day, it sounds funny to hear a football coach sometimes say it, but I believe in love and the spirit of community and all those different things, and so we spend so much time in our lives finding the things that differentiate us, and there's so many things that bring us all together. You know, we sit there. You know, we go out 2 weeks ago when we could just leave it closed. We go out there for the we went out there for the cancer. I forget what it's called. I'm sorry. Crucial catch. Thank you. I'm sorry. You know, I always wear two pink ribbons, you know, and one for my mother when she was diagnosed with breast cancer, one for my wife's mother who lost her battle with breast cancer. And I always talk about that because we can sit in that room and you can find, you know, players, coaches, old, young, white, black, northern, southern, east, west, you know, all these different things that divide us. But when I say that one of the hardest days of my life was when my mom had cancer, there's a lot of other guys that feel the same thing. So that's a long way of saying, you know, I don't know what's in other people's hearts, and I know I'm not perfect, but as best I can, I want to make sure that that I'm inclusive and care a lot about people and find the things that, you know, bring us together instead of differentiate us. So that's the shame of all that that's happening right now. And but I know there's a lot of good people out there that are working to make our place, you know, our world better. So.
I just wanted to ask about the Vikings defense. You had mentioned already. Obviously, they've got some really good guys on the edge, and it seems like they really sort of stepped up their play the past couple of weeks. Overall, what are your impressions of that defense, particularly that front seven?
Yeah, I think they're playing great. You know, obviously they got, you know, Barr back last week. You know, to me, when you have guys banged up and they come back, you know, obviously it makes a big difference. You know, we're gonna, you know, we love the guys that are playing for us, but every time we get a guy back who's been trained by us, we love it. And so, you know, I think that they defend the run at a high level. They don't give you anything. You know, they don't give you big plays. You know, they're sacking the quarterback, which has obviously been a bit of an Achilles heel for us right now in terms of protecting the quarterback. And they can rush the passer. They have multiple blitz looks, but it's really fun to watch them because they play the game, you know, the right way. They strike. They play with their hands. They get off blocks. They're really physical. You know, we had a tough time last year against them, and a lot of these players that are playing now weren't in that game. They were injured, so they've got a lot of guys back right now. They're playing with confidence. So, you know, we'll have to, you know, it's one of those games where there's no easy plays. You're gonna have to fight, scratch, and claw for everything that you get.
Would you say Shaq is out this week? I mean,
Yeah, Shaq will play this week. Yeah, I was hoping maybe there's an outside chance, but you know, we're hopeful that we'll have him back for New York. Thanks, guys. Yeah, I mean, he practiced today, so we'll see. You know, we'll see how he comes out tomorrow.